Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
Hello!
And this is going to be a fucking downer of an episode. I want to talk about what went down this past week at the Annunciation Catholic School here in Minneapolis. I was at work and, my buddy's like, hey, second day in a row, shooting in Minneapolis. I'm like, now what? He's like, I know, school shooting. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And it being at the end of August, not many public schools are already in session, so it obviously had to be a charter school or a specialty school or what is known as a parochial school, for those of you that confuse the concept of private school and religious school. And we sit there and, it's kids. It's kids, and that's always terrible. And you start to wildly speculate about what the hell the cause might be. And my first mind is, it's a Catholic school. It's either going to be a jilted father going through a divorce who's not allowed to see his kids, or it's going to be a trans person, which I hate that my mind went there, but I want to talk about this. Too much is being made of the fact that there have been 2 trans school shooters in the last few years who have both gone after Catholic schools or religious elementary schools. Just because 2 shooters have been trans doesn't mean there's going to be a wave of trans school shooting violence. It's so easy for the media to fucking climb up our asses and piss pound us with this notion that all trans people are violent and angry at society, and that's not the case. There's a great many of them that are kind. And I want you to think about how many school shootings there have been in the last 25 years or whatever since Columbine, and the number is staggering, but inexact. It's in the hundreds. No joke. That's what America's kind of known for, and I hate that, but it is. Gun crazy and school shootings. And if you go to Wikipedia, who keeps a database of these things, and it's kind of up for grabs what is and isn't a school shooting. I guess, if a shooting happens in the parking lot and it's unrelated to the school, is it a school shooting? No. But for shootings that they consider school shootings, as in gun violence in the building or on the premises aimed at people in the school, just 30 school shootings alone in 2021, and then 61 of them 2019, 53 in 2022. The school year for 25-26 is just kicking off, and we already have this one. And as a parent to young children and teenagers, you go to open house last week, and you think, yeah, we're gearing up for a new school year. And then there's this school, and they barely got, 2 days in? And this shit transpired, and these lives are completely torn apart. 2 dead, 18 wounded, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old were killed. As a dad who has a 6 and an 8-year-old, it's like, Jesus Christ, those are around the ages of my kids. Or I have, a 12 and an almost 15-year-old. And I look at some of the kids at their open house, and it's like, this could be easily my kid's school. And I'm not making this up, no hyperbole. Every year, I wait to get a phone call from my kids that there's been a shooting at their school. It's that fucking common. And as a parent, it's just like, you're used to hearing about this, but it never gets to be a point where you're relaxed about it. Like, oh, don't worry, it can't happen here. It could fucking happen anywhere.
That is correct.
And that's why, with this being another instance of a school shooting, I just kind of have to point out this fact about it. The shooting took place from the outside of the building, through windows. And the shooter, who was a male to female trans, had an AR-15 and a shotgun and a pistol. So right off the gate, school security measures of metal detectors and armed school resource officers couldn't have stopped this because the shooter had gone to the school in the past for at least a year. Their mother had worked there for years. They were very familiar with the building and the layout and the lax amount of sight lines for where they pulled this off, which is why they didn't get stopped before it happened. So even in most schools that have all these measures, locked doors, you got to be buzzed to get in, you got to scan your ID, They got metal detectors. They got school resource officers. Some schools, I'm sure, in terribly violent neighborhoods might even have pat-downs for certain kids. There's legalities to worry about. But none of that meant a hill of beans because the shooter walked up, plan in head, and just fucking started shooting through the windows. So we talk about securing our schools and arming teachers and arming police officers, but the fact of the matter is this one kind of makes that a moot point. Because, yeah, it's very good to be prepared, but all the security measures in the world can't fucking stop this one from happening or similar ones like it that I hope it doesn't get copycatted. And then also, how long are we going to sit here and talk about arming teachers? You can arm them and you can train them, but if they don't have that killer instinct, if guns make them nervous, if they're not somebody that can act the way they need to act in crunch time, it's not going to mean a hill of fucking beans because they're not going to be able to react when the chips are down. You know, some people have it in them, like firefighters. You go to a building, it's on fire, you fucking run in. You got gear, you can still die or get maimed or burnt up and shit, but your brain, you are one of those people that's wired to save and help and be brave, and you just turn that shit off and you fucking run in. You see a car accident in front of you. If that happened to me and somebody was hurt, I'm pulling over and I'm getting out. I've had accidents that happen in front of me. I hop out and I help. And I've said many times at work when we talk about the active shooter situations, what we would do. And it's just like the whole run, hide, or fight. You run away if you can. You hide if you can't. And if you're stuck in a room and you got to fight, you do it. But the point of it being is that if that was going on and I knew I could stop it, or if I was at the store and somebody started shooting, and I'm with my kids, I'm going to push them to a fire door and say, get outside. And then I'm probably going to do the stupidest fucking thing you could think of instead of being safe with my kids. I'm going to run in there and try to stop that shit. And I'm going to use my training and my expertise and my wit that I think very well and strategically when the chips are down and things are getting dangerous. I'm awesome in the clutch and I'm not bulletproof, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to try to grab something and fucking run up behind this person and knock him the fuck out. But all that thought process of hypotheticals goes right out the fucking window if the person that's doing the shooting's behind you and you get clipped by a bullet when they start randomly spraying. And speaking of that, I don't know if any of these kids or teachers were particularly targets because the shooter went there for a year and probably didn't know any of these families that have had their children or teachers or anybody that was injured from debris and stray bullets and shit. And it just goes to show you that even in a Catholic school, in a community where these kids were actively in church praying, they were praying. Everybody's all thoughts and prayers. They were fucking praying. It was mass, dude. And this person shot up a church school during mass or liturgy, whatever fucking nomenclature you want to pick. Point being, nowhere's safe, and it doesn't matter. And God's probably not watching. But the religion itself needs to take a long, hard look at how many people that swear they follow the lead and the message of Jesus Christ, and they don't accept gays, and they don't accept trans people, and they don't accept any of the alphabet people in general, and they're just very judgmental. I can tell you firsthand, it's why I left the Catholic Church when I did in high school. Because I noticed that the uber-religious were the most fucking judgmental, and nothing that I have seen in the 27 years since I ditched my faith has shown me anything to think anything to the otherwise. So this shooter, I'm just going to say kid. It was someone in their 20s, but this kid, this lady, obviously I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts, went through some shit, not being accepted for who they are or their identity. And while I don't necessarily agree with letting kids go all willy-nilly choose their gender and mutilate their body and take hormones, I'm fine with adults doing it because they're adults and live and let live with that. Right? As long as you're a trans person that respects life, I will respect you as a trans person. Now, I'm just going to throw in this little blurb. There's a slang term that I hadn't heard until recently called trans-tifa or tran-tifa. And what that is trans people that are so angry about not being accepted that they are calling to arms or saying, oh, I'll stab anybody if they don't let me into my bathroom of choice. Or I think people that don't accept trans individuals' lifestyle should die. And they're going to accept us by any means necessary, especially by violent force. That's a small segment of trans America and the world at large. Those people should all be fucking locked away in mental institutions and be red flagged and never own a firearm, because those are the types of people that end up doing something because they feel slighted. But acceptance is your key to avoiding getting caught up in the trap of thinking that all trans people are bad or that all trans people want to be violent and hurt you. They don't. They just want to exist just like you do. So, small segment, again, of the population, trans people or Trantifa, just like small segment of school shooters, it's like 0.07% of school shooters, I believe was the stat that I read, are trans. That's not a majority. It's mostly white males. I don't know if that's ever going to change. Second, I would think would be blacks, because there's so much black on black violence. And then there's the odd one of Nicholas Cruz down in Florida at the Parkland shooting, who's like one of the few Latinos that do it. But again, this whole issue has brought to the forefront, especially in Minnesota, guns and assault weapons and a ban on them. And our governor, No Balls Tim Walz, or Tampon Timmy, if whichever name you choose to demean him like I do, because I think he's a fucking pussy and a fraud. He says that he wants to call a special session to talk about an assault weapons ban in Minnesota, and I can't wait to see how that fucking unfolds. Because all these gun nuts that say, you can't take away our AR-15s. That's our right. That's our 2A right. You don't need them. Stop bullshitting. You don't fucking need them. If AR-15s were banned years ago after a number of high-profile shootings, especially the Parkland shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, if that shit would have been stopped nationwide, if somebody would have had the balls to take away AR-15s, and if the government would not have had to deal with so much partisan loyalty to the NRA and gun rights lobbies that pay for elections, imagine if these guns weren't available. How many shootings have happened since then in schools that involve AR-15s? How many, just in the larger picture, mass shootings, 4 or more people killed, have involved AR-15s? Why can't we just once and for all ban this shit so we don't keep having to hear these stories and the shooter used an AR-15 assault rifle, and then you got the gun lobby jerk-offs, like my former co-host, is like, there's no such thing as an assault rifle. Like, yeah, you're just regurgitating rhetoric from other people that you've heard. But he's one of a million fucking sheep, probably in this state alone here in Minnesota, that use that same lame argument. I don't want to get caught up in the fucking vernacular of what you call these things. They have high-capacity magazines, and they fire a lot of rounds very fast, and they have no purpose other than destroying life. Whether you're hunting with them, defending yourself with them, or committing a fucking multiple homicide felony school shooting, we need to do what is intelligent and stop fucking voting on partisan lines and being loyal to these corporations and these special interest groups that fund you being a politician so you can live this sweet life. You're in government. You're here to vote for things that help people. But all they've been doing for the last couple of years is fucking us left, right, and sideways. And the majority of it has come from the Republican Party. And they can argue that point, but they are always trying to get rich themselves while trying to take away from the people that depend upon government entitlement programs or tax payouts to fund public education or NPR or PBS or things of that nature, or Medicare or Medicaid or all that, like fucking free school lunches. Stop fucking taking money away from people that need it, and stop lining your own pockets, you duplicitous cunts. And start looking at these guns as a problem. What if we just say, we'll get rid of those? And you can keep your shotguns and your long-barreled rifles and your pistols and all that crap. There's still means of getting special trigger add-ons to increase the fire rate of some handguns. Right, but let's get rid of this one that's so popular and common in mass shootings and school shootings. It shouldn't be that hard. Because what happened here is that an 8 and a 10-year-old, a boy and a girl, are dead. They're young. They had their whole lives ahead of them. And when I got people in my life that are total pieces of shit that don't deserve to live, we got all these criminals out there that are constantly fucking over society and innocent citizens, and they don't deserve to live. And these kids did nothing wrong, and they're dead. You'd have to be pretty fucking stupid to not see the irony in 2 little kids at a Catholic school praying to God in a peaceful mass service, dying in an act of egregious violence, all because us as a country can't fucking do the right thing and ban these weapons. All these people that are terrible pieces of shit that we let live and rot in prison when they should be put to death Or these people that are so mentally ill, but we don't lock them up because we don't want to fund asylums anymore and they're out there committing crimes. Why the fuck is it so hard to make society safer? The Scandinavians have figured it out. Finland, Norway, Sweden. They figure this shit out. No other country has the amount of gun violence that we do. I mean, Central and South America sure give us a run. In the Middle East, holy fuck, you'll never know the real numbers. In Mexico, holy Christ, with the cartel violence and the numbers of murders every year. But nobody has this problem like we have this problem, and we're known for it. And they both joke about it and scorn us for it. So these two kids, I hate to politicize their deaths, but they should serve as the benchmark now for when we clean up our act and we take this seriously to fucking do something. There's so many layers to this onion, you know. The school security couldn't have stopped it. It's a trans person. Religious persecution, not accepting somebody of an alternative sexual orientation or identity and lifestyle. All of it. Not to mention the gun lobby bullshit. But what it boils down to is these were human lives that didn't need to be lost. And as a parent, I'm fearful for what my kids have to deal with. Because you never know when someone's going to walk into one of my kids' schools. I got them in elementary, middle, and high school now. And just indiscriminately start firing at random people. And that's the worst part about these types of happenstances to me, is that so many innocent victims are just randomly dying. I get if somebody did something terrible to you in life and hurt you. Like if a woman who was a human trafficking victim goes and murders her fucking rapist or the person that pimped them. Like that one gal did in Milwaukee, Crystal Kaiser. Went on a drive and premeditatedly killed the person that trafficked her. If you got somebody that sells your mom drugs and she overdoses, and then you decide to go kill them because they poisoned your mom, that's fine. I'm fine with that. They fucking had it coming. If it's some priest that molested a bunch of altar boys, and one of those altar boys wants to go back and shoot him in the fucking face, do it. Morally speaking, I'm fine with that. And if we have a gang member that kills somebody just for cred with his set, fucking hang him high or pop him off. No electric chair. No lethal injection. No easy death where it's peaceful. You're scared as shit and then you're dead. But we shouldn't let them live. We should be getting rid of the people that don't deserve to live so the people that do deserve to live can just carry on and grow and change and become full-grown adults with healthy minds and loving hearts and acceptance in their being. Because I have to believe that every kid that was affected by this and everybody that was there that didn't get shot but also was traumatized by all that, all these people's lives are shattered and they're never going to be the same. They'll never get to be who they would have been if this wouldn't happen. And I can't help but wonder, this 8-year-old boy and this 10-year-old girl who by all accounts were really sweet, well-liked students. Who could they have become? What might they have done with their lives? Maybe they would have grown up to be a doctor or a lawyer or, I don't know, a dentist or a veterinarian or a pediatrician or a school teacher or a member of the clergy that doesn't fuck kids. All these jobs they could have had, all these outcomes, they could have had families, and then it's like the butterfly effect of how many lives in the future that could have had positive outcomes on humanity did you snuff out in this one senseless act of selfish, shitty violence? It breaks my heart as a father. It concerns me as a citizen. And it makes me so skeptical that the church is ever going to get its shit together. But hopefully now Pope Leo is going to get them on the right track, as he has denounced it as senseless violence and declared that we have a pandemic of gun violence in this country, that something needs to change. So even the head of the fucking Catholic Church is like, hey, but maybe, Leo, while you're at it, maybe talk a little bit more about tolerance of gays, lesbians, bis, queer people, trans people. You know, if everybody wants to love Jesus and love others, who cares what's between their legs or who they have sex with? And if you got a kid right now, school's going to start in 2 days. It's a scary thought. But let's hope that we hear the nation over, don't have to hear about any more of these for a while, because unfortunately they're all too common. It's what we're known for. And frankly, I expect to hear of another one in the next week or two, if not sooner. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. for the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann. And that's the end.